everybody. I'm here with Kevin, loving medium, unlike Kevin Chandler. No, you're Kevin Chandler.
Kevin Chandler.
Kevin Lewis.
And the channel's Kevin's Loving Vibrations.
Kevin's Loving Vibrations. Yeah, I'll put that on the YouTube thing too. And you're open for readings too, right?
Yes, I do readings, and I'm a Reiki master, so healing combos of both. Those have been really popular.
Can you do me a favor? When we end this, I'll give you my direct cell. Can you put all the information you want on this channel for this particular show?
Sounds
for how
good.
People can reach you.
Yeah, perfect. And thank you for having me on here, Linda. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You asked me before when I was going cray. But I got the surgery done. Yay. Yeah. And I didn't but 3.5 hours and went home. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I got to meet Molly Shannon last week. I did a VIP with her. She's just magnificent and funny. And then Rachel Maddow last night, and I was just telling them, be sure to read the book prequel. Oh my God, I was blown away. So, okay. We got lots of questions from you guys. I'm supposed to go do a live around 2. I don't know if we'll run
out
of questions. Hold on, I got my Carrie Lake. There we go.
There you go.
Carrie Lake fuzzy thing. This is interesting. User said, hello, Kevin and Linda. Muslim and Arab Americans of the Democratic Party, in particular Michigan, have vowed not to support Joe Biden because of the handling of the war in Israel. What kind of outcome do you see moving forward?
I hadn't heard of that.
They want Israel to calm down. He's already telling them to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want them going in. He stopped them from going in blazing.
Yeah.
Because he said to them, we made a mistake with 9/11, but let me take a look.
Yeah, let's throw some cards on it. Yeah, and and I did hear today too that is it the U.S. helping to bring resources into Gaza right now? So I feel
that's
like
you better not do that, because who else are you going to stand with?
Right.
You're not going to stand with the Republicans who don't want to give any help.
I think people
trying to calm them down. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that I just feel like people are so upset with, Netanyahu and Israel for the humanitarian crisis that they're causing right now, which is awful.
But they're looking at beheaded babies and people killed in their house. That was horrible what happened. Yeah. And it's caused such an anger with the Israelites that they just kill these SOBs. But what they're not realizing is by killing those SOBs, they're hurting children and the innocent. And the other thing is they won't turn on the water or the power so these people can have something to drink and,
Yeah. Well, I think they're just mad because Biden wasn't as forceful or didn't give that image of being forceful with Netanyahu. But I do feel like that is a top concern for Biden, not to make the situation worse for these refugees. And I just had a couple cards fly out. Yeah, the heartbreak, the refugee card, the loss of everything, people feeling defeated. But I do feel like between now and the election time, Biden's going to really come in as that magician and help turn things around. So I see
do a good job.
He's going to do a good job. So in regards to the question, it's like, who else do they have to vote for? Are they going to vote for the Republicans? I don't see it. I mean, some of them may decide not to.
You can disagree with them, but you don't need to. That's the thing. You got to always stand up for your president. You can't throw him down the river.
And I do see Biden too between now and the election. There's some issues with Netanyahu coming up. And I do see him coming in more forcefully, if Netanyahu does take things, a step too far, I see Biden coming out against him. So that might.
But if you'll notice, after Biden left and said, we're going to help send some things to Palestine, we're going to open in Egypt, and we're going to send, right after he did that, they released 2 Americans.
Yeah.
But communication is very key. What's his face? Netanyahu wants to go in guns blazing. Listen, his numbers are so low. People are still angry at him.
Do you feel like they're going to oust him before long?
There's some negotiation that's going to take place that's going to work.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to work against Hamas, and it would be somebody surprising that you would not think was working. Some other organization.
Okay.
They said they're making everybody look really bad because it was so ugly. But apparently they had a little book that how to do this. The soldiers did. And apparently a lot of it's straight out of Putin's stuff. That's what Putin people were doing to Ukraine.
Absolutely. And I'll just say too, and I don't know how you feel about this, Linda. I think it's more than just a coincidence that, the MAGAs vote Kevin McCarthy out as speaker right before this happens. And who does it benefit? It benefits Putin because the world's not able to give the resources. The U.S. isn't able to give resources to Ukraine or to Israel. We're all focused on Israel right now. Putin's the one to benefit out of this. Do you feel like there's... Yeah,
absolutely.
He's the one winning from it. So it's more than just a coincidence that, there's so much turmoil in our democracy right now to kind of take the focus away from the tragedy in Ukraine.
Well, let me tell you something. I got two faces as soon as I heard of this awful tragedy. One was Netanyahu.
Okay.
That he was to blame, and the other one was Putin.
Yeah.
So,
Iran too, I was instantly what came to me, but it feels like Iran more directly, Putin and Netanyahu kind of behind the scenes. Yeah.
Okay. Will the government shut down, or will GOP rear their ugly heads and try to put on another show?
It's interesting because the last time I did feel like there was going to be a short shutdown.
I did too.
I felt like we were going to have a short shutdown. It was going to last maybe a week or two. And I'm wondering if maybe I'm picking up
the
future, because I feel like it's going to be another, what show in Congress this week. Are we going to be able to get somebody in there?
I was really hoping Emmer, who did vote that Biden won the election. He's from Minnesota, but Sterling didn't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Okay, but I was hoping maybe the Democrats will come across the table. But see, then Emmer would be hated because the Democrats helped bring him in.
That's what it is too. The only way things are going to get done is if some of these Republicans that are more moderate, which are very far and few between, or the ones in swing districts, come across and make a deal with Democrats. Now, I feel like they might get McHenry in there as temporary to get things done, is kind of what I was feeling. But then the thing is that you have Matt Gaetz and all of these MAGA people, they're just going to vote against anybody but Jim Jordan. So you're really at a stalemate until...
But Jim Jordan's out of the picture.
Right. But that's who they want. That's who Trump wants. That's who they're working for. So it's all about causing chaos in the House and dysfunction. And they don't really care. That's where it feels like we have to do a temporary solution. And I actually felt maybe more so next year, before the next election, that Hakeem Jeffries will be speaker.
Oh, he will be.
A bipartisan, coalition to get things done, because these Republicans are just going to get so tired of the cancer in the party. They have to cut it out and work with Democrats.
But the president wants us to come to some sort of aid for Israel and stuff. And I'm wondering if McHenry can present that and act as the liaison and let everybody vote.
That's what I was feeling, like giving him some temporary power for.
Well, he had refused. He said no, that he wanted Jim Jordan to win. Well, Jim Jordan didn't win.
Right. I think it's just going to get to a point where we're going to have some chaos until, what do we do? The government's going to shut down. We have to get aid to Ukraine and to Israel.
Oh, you have these military men overseas right now. What are you saying? They're not going to get paid?
Right, exactly. it will be short-lived. I mean, it's
I
just
wonder
a
if
pressure campaign.
constituents massively write these people and say, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, especially
Because
the ones.
something's going to scare them.
Mm-hmm.
What's the outcome with the finalization of getting a speaker? So Sterling was picking up some temporary, which would make sense about McHenry.
Mm-hmm. And I had asked too, I felt like they were going to be without a speaker until November, is what I was picking up.
Well, November's almost here.
Yeah. I actually, it might be even more towards middle of November, end of it. It feels like it's still a while off before there's actually a voted speaker in, if they can even come together to do that.
They are struggling like you won't believe. They are struggling. It might be November, second week of November.
Yeah. Well, and I think the government shuts down their funding until November 17th. So
okay, maybe right before that. Yeah.
Right before then to get like another CR bill passed.
There will be an outcome. There will be something that's going to help.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, see, do they still have that? You can get rid of somebody just by one person.
Well, that was the rules that Kevin McCarthy allowed, and that's what it is. I don't see any of these MAGA people letting anybody but Jim Jordan in without, the one vote to vote somebody out, because then they lose all of their power there. Jim Jordan's much more aligned with them.
But they've already, in the closed door meeting, more Republicans voted against him in the.
Oh, I know.
So how is it coming back?
Oh, I don't feel him coming back, but I'm just saying MAGA people, that's who they want, and they will cause chaos and destruction unless they get their way. So that's where
they're not going to get their way.
Republicans have to work with Democrats to get somebody.
But that kind of numbers that didn't want Jim Jordan, that tells me Trump hasn't really no power there.
Yeah. Well, he thinks he does. He's got some loyal followers there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mess. I have the two of wands, and as you can see in this deck, it's kind of like the two rams butting heads. It's the two sides of the Republican Party. But I'm feeling a man coming in place. Eventually, it's going to take a lot of communication and kind of rallying.
I saw a lot of communication, but I see something happening caused by these Congress people that's going to really upset the nation.
Okay.
And that's when they say enough. Do
you feel, I feel like this is coming out sooner than later, some of the dark money channels being revealed of people receiving money from Russia and other.
Yeah, well, what's his face? Jim Jordan has over $300 billion or $1 million, and he only makes $170,000 a year.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
How did that happen? I feel we've been seeing it a little bit with the Supreme Court of these dark money channels, but I do feel kind of like a shock and awe coming up here sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But yeah, my end card is the Knight of Cups, which is somebody that's a little bit more gentler, somebody that's more fairer. So I do feel like and for me, it feels like coming across aisles to get a speaker, because those 20 Republicans that are part of the MAGA, they're just going to obstruct everything like they always do.
Yeah. It's a shame, but they're going to get voted out.
Well, it's all
voted out or they'll get arrested, one or the other.
It's all part of the Republican Party imploding right now, and it's really kind of meant to happen, and it's going to take them a couple election cycles to actually rebuild and to come together and to rebrand. And there'll actually be a better party for it afterwards, which is kind of hard to believe right now. But yeah, it's just it's like the tower for the Republican Party right now, coming crashing down and then having to rebuild on a more solid foundation.
Yes. Hi, Kevin and Linda. I'd like to know if Judge Cannon is beholden to Trump in any way. Why is she humiliating herself, damaging any reputation? He told her on the side in secret that if he wins again, he's going to put her in as a justice.
Oh, Supreme Court. Yeah. Interesting. And I did feel before when she was in the picture, I felt like there might have been some money transfers between Trump and her to kind of buy her. There's definitely communications between the
Well,
two
don't
of them.
forget, you got Russia, that if she has
Mhm.
any dirty laundry, they've brought that up. That's how they change some people's minds, is bringing up dirty laundry.
Yeah.
Let's look at Judge Cannon. What's the outcome here?
I've always felt at some point she's out and a male takes over the case.
You feel what?
A male judge taking over her case.
Oh,
like,
I see Jack Smith already putting together a whole thing on her to challenge her as a judge, because she showed her rear a couple of times.
mhm, taking it to
Entertainment
appeals
purposes
court.
only.
Yeah. I feel at some point too she'll be disbarred.
She's getting kicked out.
Mm.
Yep, she's having to walk away 4 weeks, 4 months.
Yeah, I'm feeling a man.
She's gonna be so disappointed. And she knows Trump is a crook. She knows that based on the evidence she's seen, she knows he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah. It's interesting because I threw some cards and I have the man coming in, a male energy kind of taking over. But also too, if you think of the King of Swords as somebody strategically receiving money, and then it's like she's lost, she's out in the cold. It kind of returning back to a sense of normalcy eventually. But I even felt like, as we were talking, like disbarment at some point too. But she's definitely out. It might be next year, early next year.
Okay.
But by the time things come up, timing's always a bit hard to.
Oh, it's always hard.
And it's always shifting. So, but I do feel like trouble for, like it will go to an appeals court and they'll remove her. And further investigation. Yeah.
Well, there might be something where they trace the money link or something, and then she's really in trouble. But can I ask you, Cheeseburger and the Kraken, whatever, the Kraken.
Well, the Kraken, yeah.
So they agreed on a felony?
I don't know if it was the Kraken, but I know Cheeseburger did.
So he's lost his law license then?
I don't know how that works.
You can't have a felony.
Okay.
Like, you can't be a nurse and have a felony or any kind of drug charges. So I was wondering about that.
So like,
and guess what the latest is?
What's the latest?
Trump says that the Kraken wasn't his attorney.
Oh, imagine that.
When they got Giuliani out there saying, "I like to introduce Sidney Powell, who's Trump's attorney," he wanted to make her temporary head of the lawyers, and they all threatened to leave. Oh, but she wasn't even my attorney.
Of course. Oh, can you just imagine? They were actively hiding the ketchup when they both flipped on him. He was losing it.
Oh, I think he's really, and he's insisting they don't nominate this guy, this Tom Emmer, which I think would cause the Democrats to say, then that's our guy. But the problem is, see, they keep waiting for the somebody to come to them and say, listen, I'm willing to work across the table with you. Vote me in. But I think the Republicans get scared of that, even though they'd love to have their help, because they know that that's the end of their career. Because they would be crazy. So do you gotta
well, I just threw some cards on them and I feel them out in the cold. If you were asking about Chessburger losing his license, you have the 5 of Pentacles here. So that's total financial loss, feeling out in the cold. 4 of Swords retreating. That can even be jail. Yeah, and coming up to make an agreement. And I know a lot of people are mad too, because they were like, they have probation, they're not getting jail time with it. But I'm telling everybody just to be patient, because there's federal charges with Jack Smith coming too.
Amen.
And I'm feeling almost like half of the group of people that were indicted in Georgia making deals, like 8.
Oh, 9. I felt the same thing. I felt like a good portion of them, before we get up to the date, just start leaving like flies.
Right.
I love it. And that means they all testify against Trump. They're not standing up for him anymore.
It's going to be critical, I think, too, with Jack Smith's case, the federal case. He's going to be able to get so much of that information and not have to necessarily offer them. You know, he might offer some deals when more indictments come out.
You know the New York case, and you know how he got fined $5,000 and told to shut up or jail? His son just posted on True Social some negative stuff about that judge.
In trouble. I've always felt Don Jr. in trouble. Yep. They have to push. They have to push to see how far they can actually get. Trump would love the photo ops of being jailed, and so he could be this victim, professional victim. But he would go crazy locked up in a jail cell for 5 minutes after it happened. He would go insane.
Right. But I think they really should do it. I don't know if they will.
Yeah, I agree. They're towing the line in because they're very worried about his base and causing chaos in another insurrection. I don't see that happening, but they just don't want to push it too far. But they will get their just desserts, their karma, one way or another, right?
Thank God. So will Jim Jordan be indicted for his part in the insurrection? Yeah. How about all the others? Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, MTG. I think Jack Smith's got an eye on them.
Oh, yeah. When I've read on all of them, I
got my eye on you.
I've always felt those, the ones that you named going down, spending some time behind bars.
You have?
I have, yeah.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
It might take a while still, but it feels, I've always felt with Jack Smith, I do feel like the federal, the January 6th case, there's going to be more indictments. Actually, it feels sooner rather than later around maybe some of the lawyers and those people planning. And
because he's just planning on focusing on Trump right now.
Right now. But then I feel like waves, like it's groups, like the next closest people he's got targeted, and then out into some of the Congress people, and then people start flipping on people and more people get indicted. Like it's going to be a circus.
Yeah.
A lot of them next year, but I do feel like some more indictments coming before the end of this year.
Trump, let me tell you something my sister said to me last night, and I'm going to say this every 2 seconds. The fact that Biden not just recently got $77 million for his campaign, that's all you need to hear. That's all you need to hear. They said after this Israeli thing happened and the way he's handling and the speech he made, his numbers went up.
Yeah.
Trump is not going to win by a landslide if he even is in the running by that time.
Yeah, and Trump would never go into a war zone to give a speech and risk it. Biden's coming across as the adult in the room and the responsible one.
And so taking risks. And the other thing is Trump doesn't want to be in the ring. I mean, what an idiot. So he didn't give any kind of speech for our lost soldiers and on D-Day.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't want, it was wet. He didn't want to get wet. I love it. I love this president now. This is our savior. I'm telling you. And he's old. Yes, he's old. But right now he's all we got. And also he wants to finish what he started. There's no reason at his age, and he's got enough money. Why would you want to do it again? Why would you? Maybe he could just say Kamala is but no, he's doing it again to get it done. And I think he knows he can win against Trump again. Yeah.
Well, and I think he feels responsible for our democracy he sees the threat that Trump and these MAGA Republicans pose to our democracy, and he knows that he can win it. He's already has. So he feels that responsibility to do, fight for the greater good for our country's sake. And I agree with you. I've always felt like Biden doing wonderful things and really a lot of great programs and things that we've needed for a while. It feels more like he's accomplished a lot already, which he doesn't get the recognition for. The news doesn't cover him in that light. But second term, and then I do feel Kamala will take over at some point and really getting a lot of the work done that we've needed to get done for a long time.
Right. Right. So do you see, I know he's going to win. I don't know why I can be so sure of that. But I just see at least 2 years of the 4-year. I just see it, he starts really kind of maybe even getting sick or something, but he wants to accomplish it.
Well, and he's got a good VP to back him up too. He's very confident in Kamala. Should he need to step down.
And here's the other thing that people don't realize, that people, not just, and listen, I'm hearing from people I read, friends, my neighbor took down the Trump sign.
Yeah.
My brother called and said, nah, I don't want that SOB. I mean, all kinds of people are changing their minds. You still got your true Trumpsters, but they're not that, it's not that huge, you guys.
And there's a lot coming up between now and the election.
Yes.
That's really going to turn people off from the Republican Party. They have, it's like they stink and nobody wants to be around them. Nobody wants to vote for them. It's how my guides show me.
Well, the thing is, how stupid to say you're going to stop women's rights. Jordan wanted that. He didn't want any abortion anytime for any reason. That's a big no-no. They want to cut Social Security and Medicare, acting like that's the spending issue. No, it isn't. You guys paying yourself too much money is the spending issue.
Right. Or taking money out of it and not repaying.
That's what they do all the time. So you don't touch that because, and you know, there was a lot of even, what do you call it? Hasidic Jews. What do you call it? There's a name for a really strict Jewish person. Anyway, anyway, a lot of them were for Trump. And now none of them are for Trump. Because he called Hamas very smart people.
Yeah.
No, they're puppets following
Netanyahu. Going against Netanyahu. He congratulated Biden when he won. And he wasn't going on saying that it was a rigged election.
Oh, so he can't stand him. But that guy's days are numbered. Netanyahu, I saw him having an exit stage left.
Yeah.
He actually, I kind of wondered if he was part of this. But by the shock look on his face, I really think he didn't know. But what he did was he was mad at the military because they were saying, you do this, change the Constitution, we're not going to go if you call us in. Now, 400,000 people are ready to fight. But when Biden got off that plane, did you see the way he hugged Biden like a little boy?
I didn't know.
Like, oh, you're here. Oh, thank God.
You're here to save me. I felt that it was more like ignorance to the warning of things happening.
The United States got a warning and Egypt got a warning. Netanyahu said that was fake news. No, it wasn't.
Right.
It was announced again. So he does a little bit of that ploy that Trump does, fake news.
Well, it's going to hurt him in the end because I don't feel him in there for very long.
Right. How are you feeling about George Santos?
Oh, he's going. I think sooner rather than later.
Okay, I'm going to take
I had always felt after the midterm elections when he got in there, I did feel some of the GOP would have to be removed before the next election, where we could actually even almost titter on like the balance of power between Democrats.
Maybe that's when Jeffries gets in.
Yeah, could be. But my guys told me with George Santos, he would be the first one to leave.
Isn't that something? Let me just take a look, see.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a look, see.
Wasn't it his,
you aren't kidding. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Exit stage left, you sucker. And he was fighting for Menendez. He needs a trial. You guys don't have any rights to take. He was just talking about himself.
Well, and I do see Menendez having to step down too.
Oh yeah, he's going for sure.
But yeah, I've always felt trouble for Santos, and wasn't it his finance person for his campaign is testifying against him now too. So it's kind of like the nail in the coffin for him.
Yeah, and also, you know, he has no respect. They only keep him there as a warm body.
Well, they can't afford to lose him right now because they can't even get anything accomplished with him being
Oh, you
chair.
don't think tables turns and the Democrats had somebody like that? They wouldn't be the stink in the room. They'd be, oh, you gotta go.
Well, they already did that. Who was Al Franken? They pretty much made him.
Oh, that was based
It
on
wasn't. I'm not comparing the two. It's
that
not.
Was a fake picture, but he stepped down because he didn't want any.
Yeah. I threw a couple cards for Santos. We have the 10 of Pentacles, so this is, taking all of that, the big money coming in and profiting off of it. He's got the world coming into a new cycle, ending of a cycle, the world watching him, secrets with the moon, and then the tower for George Santos. So
whoa,
it
the
doesn't
rug
look
will
very
be
good.
pulled out from under him. So
Yeah.
basically what you're saying is, or what your guides are saying,
Yeah.
is that there's more to come.
Oh yeah. He will. I feel jail time for him, and actually even trouble in Brazil. But I feel like he has to leave.
Okay, Kendu wants to know, should we expect a global banking crisis?
A global. I'm not really feeling it. I mean, I'm not feeling like a worldwide economic collapse at all. I'm not feeling that.
People are tightening their belts, but we'll get through this.
Yeah.
Gas here was up to 6 something, and it's dropped now to 5.30. So I don't know what's going on.
It's weird too, because when people were telling me that California's gas was so expensive, I live in Ohio, and it was like $3 a gallon here. So that's actually been pretty cheap for, at the highest it was over $4 last year.
We were up to $7-8 out here.
Yeah.
But we got all that tax on the gas.
Yeah.
Did you take a little look-see at Governor at Dianne Feinstein's seat? Did you see?
Oh, yeah. It's interesting because I feel like it's going to be Adam Schiff. I feel like a lot of the support's there, a lot of the money coming in. I think Nancy Pelosi's gunning for him, and she has a lot of swing in California. But it's interesting because Katie Porter, I do feel like she is destined to be a senator in California at some point. I don't think it's her time just yet, but yeah, maybe.
I think Adam Schiff's the one that's coming in. I do like Barbara Lee too, but I just feel he'll have more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Schiff is a little, not, I think Katie Porter is wonderful. I think she's excellent, but Schiff really has that seniority. He's been in the House for a long time, and he really has the experience, I think, for right now for that role.
Yes. How do you feel about Sowell, his future? I think he's going to be somebody. He was running for president, but I feel like he'll go up there. I just got a flash. I'm thinking that when Kamala takes over, she might pick Pete Buttigieg to be her VP.
I've said that for a long time. It's actually, it's funny that you say that. I had Susan Lynn on my show, and she's like, can you imagine the Republicans with a black woman as president and a gay male as VP? They would lose it. They would lose it. But I have said the same thing. I feel a strong connection between Pete and Kamala. I do feel after this term, though, Pete might spend a little bit of time as Secretary of State. I feel like he would be wonderful as the Secretary of State. Okay. And then maybe transition into a VP. If not with Kamala, I definitely feel it in his future.
Did you hear what Pete Buttigieg? That's what I always call him. Mm-hmm. Did you hear what I said about President Ford? They were showing it on the news. President Ford, a little girl asked him, this is back when he was president. And she said, will there ever be a female president? And he said, one day there'll be a male president that suddenly has to leave office. Either he gets sick or he dies. And then there'll be a vice president, a female vice president. And when she becomes president, look out. He said, like, after that, it's going to be nothing but females. But
interesting.
I thought that was so because he didn't know we would have a VP, a female VP.
Yeah, it really kind of paving the way for people to be accepting of a woman in that role. You know, it's a shame too, because it should have been Hillary. Although Kamala is great too, but yeah,
talk about a Scorpio woman. Hillary knew, she predicted exactly. And my favorite little memes thing is Hillary driving a bus, pulling up to the prison yard, saying, "Hey, Trump, your ride's here." So how about questions on your end?
Yeah, I got some questions here. Let's pull some up. Oh, it's interesting. Judith says Tom Emmer is being proposed as candidate for next House Speaker. He voted for both the last budget approval and certification of the election like Austin Scott. What do you think of his chances of being voted in the Speaker in the coming days? We kind of talked about it a little bit, but what do you think?
And you know, I picked up, he's got gray hair, but I picked up light hair and blue eyes, which he has.
I feel energy around him, so I think he might be
a possibility.
Yeah, or like the focus of the Republicans, but not able to get in there with the votes.
Or he could. He could. Oh, listen, you guys, we need to tell you something real quick.
Yeah.
On Sterling's show, I asked if Matt Gaetz' father would become a senator. And Sterling said yes, which was like sad news. But when I looked it up, he's running for the Senate. He'd been there before, of the state of Florida. So that's good news.
Okay.
But
yeah.
When this happened with Jordan, I knew Jordan wouldn't get in. I could guarantee it. I don't care what they said. But I saw who's that guy that got shot? He's not a very nice guy either, but what's his name? He dropped out. He got up there and then he dropped out.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
He wasn't going to kiss butt with nobody.
Was it Scalise?
Scalise.
Yeah.
I saw Scalise, and then I saw a light-haired man with blue eyes. I didn't see a woman. And so I don't know if he gets in and then they're mad at him because the Democrats have, because I feel the Democrats are desperate. Let's get the
somebody in.
Maybe, you know, Nancy Pelosi whispers in Jeffrey's ear. She's probably telling him, you know what, let's go talk to him, even though he hasn't approached us, and let's just say we need the US to go forward.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it's interesting. That guy has light hair and blue eyes. It could be somebody else, but
yeah, and it's hard through all the chaos to actually pinpoint who it's going to be. And a lot of people we don't really know who they are. But it's interesting because I heard no really loudly from my guys with Jordan. I never felt that. Scalise, I felt like he was being eyed, but I heard a strong no. I do feel, had McCarthy, before, he started throwing Democrats under the bus and made things ugly, I do feel like if he would have walked to them and said, listen, let's make some kind of deal, McCarthy would still be speaker.
Yeah, he straight up lied on him.
And I think you were picking up Tom Cole, and I was feeling when they first announced it and they showed pictures, I was directly drawn to him.
But then he started talking trash, and like he loved Jordan and that he was against Social Security. I said, boy, but that, I swear to God, they had said he's more of a moderate.
Yeah.
But this guy's better, this one here, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We're guessing at this point.
We'll get through this mess eventually.
I did ask the pendulum about this guy.
Emmers.
And it was saying yes. So we'll see.
We'll see. And maybe, maybe he does get in, but it's a short while and then we're back to where we were
I think that's what Sterling said too. Someone could get in, but it won't be very long. And then what'll happen is all these people are going to be busted and out of there, which breaks a lot. And then that's when you'll get Jeffries.
Okay. We're good for time for a little bit longer, right?
Yeah, we're only like 47 minutes.
Second Saturn says the State Department issued a worldwide caution for Americans overseas, including Europe. Do you see any terrorism against Americans in Europe and elsewhere?
Only in the bad,
only.
yeah, don't go to Egypt, don't go. But let me tell you something. Did you see that someone was killed in the United States, shot? She was in charge of the synagogue.
I hadn't, no.
Yeah, there was a murder. So they're still trying to get down to business. I saw things like that happening here. And let me tell you something else I saw. Some European reporters have been killed. But I saw someone from the United States, a reporter, being killed over there.
Okay. Wow.
Or hurt really bad.
Yeah. I do feel like, and I know you've said it for a while, you feel like pockets of activity.
Pockets of it.
I do feel like, you know, that in the US and even some of the domestic issues, you know, pockets of it. And I do feel it over in Europe too, but it feels like the intelligence is really on top of a lot of it.
That's what I was getting. Like they grab it because if they start releasing what's going on out there, we'll be very shocked.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I do feel like there's some throughout the world.
So what else you get?
What else? Oh, do we want to talk about do we talk about this before we started or during it? The Judge Engoron has fined Trump for breaking his gag order. Subsequent retweets and statements from Trump have been highlighted since Friday. Is Trump going to be punished by jail for his continued defiant behavior against the rule of law? And I do feel Junior getting in some trouble too for reposting.
Well, Junior just opened his big mouth.
Yeah.
And but you know that includes Junior.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a restraining order or whatever, that includes the family and the friends. That they're supposed to follow the rules. So I never saw Trump doing jail, but let me tell you, when I listen to this, I'm almost feeling even one day. Probably I didn't see long-term jail because I see this judge calling the Secret Service saying, I'm going to put that SOB in. I don't care what you guys. They try to argue him out of it, but they'll say, I'll give him a private cell. He'll be in for 12 hours or whatever, or 24 hours, but he's got to know what it feels like. He'll be furious.
Yeah. And, you know, and I feel Chutkin too, really not playing with Trump. She's not playing. She would throw him behind bars if he really pushed it. Because you know what's going to happen is he's going to continue these threats. Somebody's going to get killed. Somebody's going to get hurt.
And then it'll be on him.
And then it will be on him, right? But I think we did talk about it. It's like they're being kind of careful or allowing him to hang himself, you know, giving him ample time to work with it, and he continues to make things worse and worse.
I see Chutkin.
We try to warn you.
I see Chutkin getting this trial going, and the Georgia one feels, you know, now that they're not going to do the trial on those two people, they're saying, come on in, let's get the date going here. And that's when you'll see them falling off like flies.
Yeah.
Why did these people say, hey, I'm going to make a deal? Because they saw the evidence. They saw what they have. They were saying not guilty because they thought they had something there. Then the attorneys are advising him to make a deal.
Well, right. And if you take one of the first deals, you're given a lot more than people that take deals at the end.
I'm seeing negotiations taking place. We might even have 2 more people dropping off by next Wednesday.
Yeah. Could be, yeah.
Oh, Trump is just bouncing off the catch it.
Somebody says Idaho is so red, any chance of it turning purple? I don't think in the near future. Idaho's pretty red. Idaho,
in fact, I just read somebody that was from Idaho. It's pretty red.
Yeah. But I do feel I've been saying it the last couple election cycles, but we know that, you know, Republicans have their own tricks, but Texas should have been purple.
They fake it. They steal. Yeah.
I feel better about it though, 2024. Like now,
I'm telling you guys, there's shock and awe. That's what I told you, Kevin. Shock and awe. I feel some people will be shocked about how many people get wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
How many rednecks get wiped out?
Well, and I definitely feel good about the House. I mean, clearly the Republicans can't lead. It is a really tough Senate map for Democrats in 2024, but I feel even some more gains in shocking places. Very well could be Texas.
Me too.
Ted Cruz being out, and yeah, some of those ones where you wouldn't expect a Democrat to winning.
Right.
People have just had it with the Republican Party.
Yeah, and especially, believe it or not, they've been talking about cutting Social Security and stuff. But this woman's issue is the biggest one. People have been saying that. People have been looking and saying, you know what? And what, 70% of Americans are for helping Israel. So, hey, you start getting these Republicans saying, we're not going to vote for there's trouble. There's trouble.
Yeah, lots of women and even young people coming out against the Republican because of the Roe v. Wade, but also too, I think people really sense the threat to our democracy with
and we did it before. Read Rachel's book. We're at that stage before, and they voted out 12 Congress people, people who'd been in there 24 years. They were all part of the Nazi, and they were trying to cause a sedition, and they got voted out.
Yeah, and that was
and it was a shock.
Yeah,
but that tells you America stepped forward.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it interesting though, if you look back at like the last century and things repeating themselves, with like the pandemic happening around the same time as the was it that 1920 flu or something that took a lot of people out, and like a lot of these things kind of replaying.
That was right during the flu. Well, that was World War I. 1917, 18?
Yeah.
If you go to this beautiful graveyard up in the Oakland Hills, and even in Hayward, there's a huge Catholic one. There's a whole huge amount of people that died during that flu, and a lot of children.
Yeah.
So
Spanish flu or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
So, yeah. Well, listen, my friend, I got to go.
Yeah.
But I want you to send me everything that I can give for everybody to reach you.
Yeah. I don't have a website. Typically, I respond through email.
Okay.
So if you're interested in a reading or a Reiki session, Kevinlovingvibrations@gmail.com. I have all of that information on my YouTube channel, but I'll send it to you for the
Send it to me so I can upload it.
Perfect.
All right,
Thank
you guys.
So much, Linda.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, you guys.
Take care, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.